never give up. You're about to listen to the Darla Z, live from the Hollywood Room on the Bootleggers Music Group Radio. Award-winning singer-songwriter Darla Z brings you her special guests who share intimate stories about their lives, how they became successful in their chosen fields, how they learned from their mistakes, and how we can all make a positive difference in the lives of others. Welcome to Live from the Hollywood Room with your host, Darla Z.
Hi, this is Darla Z, and I'm coming to you live from the Hollywood Room. I have the most exciting guest today. I am extremely honored to have Cheryl Landon on our show. She's an international inspirational speaker. She has appeared on Oprah Winfrey. She's even been on a show called Unsolved Mysteries, and her dad happened to be Michael Landon. So she's got a lot of things she can tell us, and this is going to be a three-part series show, and we're going to talk to her, and we're going to just spill everything in her. We're going to talk about everything in her life that matters to her, that mattered to her father. And Cheryl, I'm just thrilled to have you on the show, so welcome.
Well, thank you, because I'm very blessed to be able to have you all where I can tell you stories that literally can change your lives. Very powerful stories. So it's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's just start off with just some basic information, because I'd like to know where you were born, and let's start with that.
Well, Hollywood. I'm a Hollywood baby. I was born in the Hollywood Presbyterian and Hospital in Hollywood. I am a native of California. I am so in love with what California represented, and I'm very sad where I see it going. And we need to turn it around. And that's why what I'm going to share with you all today has that type of power to turn your life around, to get focused, to resurrect. And what a perfect time, Easter, because it's about the resurrection. There's so much to the resurrection that I'm going to share with you, and you can lead the way, but I'm just ready to go.
Well, and I love that. And as a Christian myself, and a believer, I love honoring that holiday. I also don't understand how bunnies can lay eggs, but we'll shave that for another show. I do like chocolate.
I think it's important to understand that Easter is just not about the bunny rabbit visiting and leaving candies and all sorts of goodies. It's really about the resurrection of Jesus. And what I'm a metaphysical Christian. I'm not a linear Christian. The metaphysical Christian is of Christ consciousness. I study Jesus Christ, his words. I have well, let's start back in 1973, where it all began. This promise over my life that changed the direction of television. 1973, I was at a party. I went to the University of Arizona, and it was the party of the year, but it was way out in the boondocks. I mean, there wasn't a light, there wasn't a house, there weren't anything on this desert. It's just all desert, but there happened to be this one place where they had this party and they honored the mafia. It was a hideout. And well, in most places of these parties, you get to having fun and drinking's a part of it, right? Well, what happened is that they hired a bus to take people back because it was about a 2-hour drive outside of Tucson. We were in Nogales, Arizona. I talk about the power of the split-second decision because it was that power that I gave to someone else that put me in the car with the drunk driver. We all had been drinking. Now, the VW was a VW bug, and the driver was drunk, and I was told, get on the bus. I wanted to get on the bus. My girlfriend says, no, you came with us. You need to leave with us. And I let her dictate what my intuition was telling me. No, get on the bus. So here's allowing someone else. And how many times have we allowed someone else to direct our decisions, make our choices
Absolutely.
instead of trusting ourselves. So I'm in the car. The driver goes, it was a blind date on top of it. There was my girlfriend, her boyfriend in the back seat, myself in the passenger, and the driver. The driver pops the clutch in the middle of the highway, and we are stranded in the middle of the highway. There's no street lights, okay? And here comes another drunk driver going 80 miles an hour,
Oh my.
never applied his brake, hit us, that it was a loud sonic boom. And we went, no lie, we went the length of a football field. I'm awake through all of this. I'm seeing my friend's boyfriend being decapitated.
Oh my
My
God.
girlfriend was in and out of the back window with her head split in half. The
Oh my.
driver landed on top of me. I had split my head from ear to ear, broke my neck, broke my ribs, ruptured my spleen, punctured my lung, broke my back, totaled my knees. And here I am in this little tiny passenger area. The driver lands on top of me, bleeds to death on me, and dies. I'm awake.
Oh
It took 2 hours for the
God.
emergency services to come out. They used the jaws of life to get the door open because surely no one could be alive. It was a horrible, horrible scene. It was flat as a pancake, this car, except for this little area. They took the dead driver off of me and they found out I was alive. And what kept me alive was that I was fist fighting them. I was a wild animal and they couldn't tell if I was a pretty girl or what, because I was a bloody mess. They took me to the local hospital, but like I said, 2 hours. Now imagine being a parent and getting a phone call. Your daughter's been in a very bad car accident, and this is in California. You need to get over here right away. My
Yeah.
parents hired a plane, got to the hospital. I don't even want to get emotional. And they said, your daughter's not going to live. She won't make it through the night. You need to say goodbye to her. My dad came in and I went into a coma. I had had surgeries without any anesthetic. You want to
Oh
talk
my
about
gosh.
pain? And I remember everything. And when they went to pump my lung back up, I passed out from the pain. I went into a coma and I went on the other side. My father comes into the ICU and he starts talking to me and he's coaching me. Fight, baby, fight. Fight, baby, fight. And the nurse comes up and she says, why are you talking to her? She can't hear you. But he wouldn't give up. Darla, he spent 3 days coaching me. I was gone for 3 days.
Wow.
And I was going to tell you, I was with Jesus and we were talking. I didn't want to come back, but my dad called me back. And it was here. My dad made a promise to God over my life. And I'm going to read it to you. It's a beautiful promise. And I didn't know about this promise till I was at the foot of his deathbed. Okay. I was 19 years old. So he made this promise and I didn't know about it until I read it in his last interview in Life magazine. And the promise was that he said, I promise God that if he would let her live, I would do something useful with my life, something to make the world a little better because I've been there. Cheryl lived, and I've tried to keep that promise ever since. My father witnessed God when I came to. I told him everything he had been saying to me, and he witnessed God. Now, this man has a powerful story, and we'll get into it in another segment about his story. But
Yeah, because I just wrote down witness God. I wanted to know what you meant by that.
he saw God bring me back to life. I was not supposed to live. And it
Okay.
was his promise to God that if he let me live, he would make the world a better place through his work. And if you notice, his shows always had a spiritual message.
Yes.
They taught us That's why people loved his show so much, because it just wasn't the bang bang cowboy or the little house on the prairie. Well, we're having hard times. They had a spiritual message, and it was because he saw God bringing me back to life off of this promise. So here I am, and they told me that I was a sole survivor because I thought my girlfriend had lived, that I would be paralyzed, that I would live in chronic pain, and I wouldn't be able to have a child. Now, you don't tell a 19-year-old that she's a chosen one. And that's what they said about me when I came back. She's the chosen one. She's a miracle. God has a special path for her. And I'm going, what do you mean God has a special path? I'm going to be in a wheelchair, paralyzed, living in chronic pain, and I can't have my babies because I had to have my son. I knew at a young age I was going to have a boy. So I was angry, very angry at God. My dad went on to touch millions of lives with his work. Me, I went the other direction. And I tried to run through a plate glass window to end it. So that's another story, another time, but let's fast forward. It's 1991, and Dad finds out that he has 3 weeks to live. And he had rules. And one of the rules was don't cry because it brought him down. It was too heavy for him. So my brothers and sisters and we lined up to say goodbye. And as soon as I got to him, I broke down. And I said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm going to do without you. And he said, I will find a way to get back to you. I will leave you a long stem red rose. And I thought, wow. And I remember that because I kept a diary. So here it is, it's 3 weeks. And Dad was sharing with me his feelings. We had a lot of intimate, long talks. And I had my healing oils that I would bring with me to massage his feet. And he was massaging his feet. And he says, Cheryl, society, it's self-destructing. And this is 30, 34 years ago. It's self-destructing. I'm one. I can make a difference. And he had started his 4 series called Us. And Us was similar to Highway to Heaven, where he went visiting different people, different topics each week, where he was going to teach how to love one another. And he said, my best work is yet to come. Now, we find out he's not going to do his best work. And I did not know about promise that he had made until I read in Life magazine this promise. And I said, Dad, you made this promise? Oh, I got to do something. So I told him I would honor and protect his name, which I did with my book. I promised my dad because other people were writing about him. And that I would, yes.
This is your book.
And I would go on to keep his legacy and address loving one another my way as a teacher. Because I don't have the power that Dad had in touching millions of lives. So I made this promise to Dad, and he got tears. And it was a hard choice because there was other things going on in our lives that were very painful, dealing with how Dad left us. But I knew in my heart that Dad had the best of intents. And what that means is that there was a change in the will, and I'm not going to go into it, that affected our lives. And it wasn't so much the money as it was the message that Dad didn't love us as much as he cared for the last wife. And she's younger than me. And I knew there were problems. But here I am, and I wrote this book. I promised my dad. and I'm to do Geraldo, my first show, Geraldo. Now, Geraldo is a genius. He is brilliant. He is an investigative journalist. They got wind about the will, and I'm in New York, and I am terrified to go on his show because the will started coming. The news about the will was coming out. And I'm in the Hilton with my girlfriend, and I hear my dad, clear as anything in my mind, saying, Cheryl, I want you to go to the fountain in Central Park. And I said, Carolyn, Dad just told me I had to go to Central Park and find this fountain. I don't know a fountain. I don't know where Central Park is. This is my first time here in Central Park promoting the book. And I don't know. And she said, Cheryl, let's just go. So we get outside, and the energy of New York is incredible. It's busy, it's just busting with energy. And I'll tell you, Darla, something came over. It was a force. It guided me up, down, around, up to Central Park. And here we are in Central Park. And I go through these trees, and I get to the top of a stairwell. And there's nobody. I can see down the stairs, and I see this fountain. Can't see it quite clearly, but there's no one around it. And I go down to the bottom, and there at my feet is a long stem red rose. My girlfriend
Wow.
nudges me, and she goes, Cheryl, look up. It's the fountain, Michael the Archangel. I
Oh
have the
my.
original photo, if you can see. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can.
And can you see that there's no one around the fountain? Because I thought
Yeah.
somebody dropped their long stem red rose. And this is the fountain of Michael the Archangel.
Oh my gosh.
So people,
Oh, that's amazing.
our loved ones don't leave us. They
No,
are in
I agree with
another
that.
dimension. And this is important because when you lose a loved one, some people want to die, and they're there, they're here. And what I did was I went on to the Rahaldo show, and I just said to the producer, I'm not going to talk about the will. There's too many other things that are important, but I'm not going to talk about the will. And Geraldo, he was so sweet and nice to me. He came up on the stage, and he held my hand behind his back. And I gave a tremendous interview because of Geraldo. And I just love him. So that's the fountain of Michael the Archangel. And that's the promise. And the promise is so powerful because look at the situation we're in today. It's frightening. It's worse than it ever was. And there's
Yes,
so
I agree.
much anger and hatred out there that we have got to get back and remind people who we really are. We're spiritual beings. And who is God? Well, I'm going to tell you, God is energy. It's matter. You can't kill matter. And I believe and know in my heart that God came down here in human form to teach us how to live, how to love one another. Sermon on the Mount gives us exactly the plan,
I
the
love that.
guidelines. And we've got to get back to loving each other. And what is loving each other? You're talking to a woman who hated God. I did not like God one bit for how he left me. And it wasn't until that I was sent away because I tried to run through that plate glass window when I was 19 years old to kill myself. Because God, I wanted to finish up what God left. I was not going to have what I needed in life, and to heck with him. But it was here that I was sent to Sea-Doo, and it was up in the mountains, and they took everything away from us, all material things, not even makeup, not even clothes, nothing, to get to know who
Okay, so
Cheryl
Sea-Doo
was.
is like a place to
It's a
go if you tried to kill
rehabilitation.
yourself. Okay.
Yeah, it's a rehabilitation. They don't use any drugs. It's very powerful there. Well, I was in the forest, and it hit me. God didn't put me in that car. That was my choice. I put myself in that car. And we've got to take responsibility for our decisions. And what I have learned, I've been studying for the past 51 years, is who's God. And that's where I gained a lot of information about spirituality, that we are spiritual beings, that we are here to love one another. And the best way that you and I can do it and everybody else is to bring out the best in each other, which is bringing out the best in ourselves and not to be judgmental, not to be hateful. What is it about ourselves? What junk, what dross are we holding on to that we are passing out to other people? It's about taking daily inventory inside of ourselves. Because let me tell you, we got a lot of junk in there. We got a lot of dross in there. And it's up to us to recognize it, to do something different about it so we don't pass it on to our next generation. They need us. We wonder why they're killing each other, why they're because look at the games that they have. They're so violent, the games. Look at the news. Look at people here. Our governments are fighting. The Democrats, the Republicans, we're fighting. We're full of hate. And you don't think that's landing on our children? How are we to handle it if and expect our kids not to go that way when they're just learning who they are? So if
Yeah,
we can just
absolutely.
turn the wheel, and what is it about me that is attracting this in other people? How can I bring out the best in this situation, not the worst? How can I not carry on the errors of my parents because they're only doing what they know best? How can I not pass that on to my child? How can we teach our children differently? And it is love. And my
Yeah.
father said, love, it's the most powerful force. It's what lets us live on. Don't ever take it for granted. And it's not the love that, oh, he's so cute. I just love him. Ooh, I get butterflies. It's love that is an innate feeling that we are created in God's love. And we don't really have an idea of how vast and powerful this God is. He said, the matter said, the energy said, I am. Here's another thing. How many times do we attach I am? I am sad. I am ugly. I am poor. I am. Do you know what we're attracting? We're attracting exactly what we're attaching to the I ams. So be very careful of the words that we're putting out.
You
Those
know what's
I am.
funny? Is my husband will never write I am. He just won't. He like if he's got an email to send to somebody, he won't say I am. Isn't that funny from the Bible?
Well, I'll tell you, start putting those I ams to I am love. I
Yes, I
am
like that.
wonderful. I am beautiful. And if you have an issue with someone, make amends. And I know what it's like because Michael Landon isn't my biological father. He adopted me. I was in a household. My mother had a teenage pregnancy, and she put me in a household where it was, well, I went through a lot of beatings,
I'm
a
sorry.
lot of abuse.
Very sorry.
And well, here's the point though. When dad met me, he knew what I was, he just knew it because he had gone through it. He literally took me into his life and made me a princess in his life. He loved me when I couldn't love myself. And we look alike. It's amazing how much we look alike. There is nothing like being loved by Michael Landon. And I'm so blessed that I have. I'm sorry.
Well, no, you know what? It's to go from a horrific situation where you're being mentally and physically abused to I mean, he was like an angel to you because
Totally.
it flipped over to goodness and joy and love. And that was a real blessing. And God did that for you. And God did that for him because it was important for Michael to have you in his life.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I gotta show you this picture, how much we look alike. Can you see
Okay,
this picture?
bring it up. There you go. Yeah. Boy, both beautiful people. Wowie.
So we have very special connection. And I love my brothers and sisters. We're very, very close. Dad and mom gave us the most perfect life I can ever tell. I was a valley girl. I lived in Encino. That was my first home with
I
them.
remember that movie.
And so they said, "Where are you from?" "I'm a valley girl." When the valley was the valley where you could walk everywhere and we didn't, it turned
Yeah.
into a city. But I got the best brothers and sisters. Now let me tell you the miracle. I got my miracle boy. I've got my miracle boy, James Michael. And fortunately, Dad got to spend time with James. But this child is such a miracle that after I had him, they had to take everything out of me ever reproducing another child. I had a lot, and I still have a lot of issues to deal with because people ask, "Oh, are you getting better?" You don't get better from that kind of an accident. You get worse. I just had second neck surgery, 6 hours,
Wow.
and because I don't have a neck, it's all it's just steel and it's hardware, nuts and bolts, and they had to take it all out and the bone spurs, they had to clean them up, and the spinal fluid's going in the
Oh
wrong
my.
direction. So, you know what, people? Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Don't do drugs and drive because I guarantee you, you're going to have something on your hand like I did. And you don't have to go through a near death experience to change your life and know that you are loved. And I'm going to show you this is my baby. This is my James Michael. And
Oh,
my
good looking
James,
guy.
oh, he's the best. And I gotta show you, look at my miracles now. Look at my
Oh my
grandbaby.
goodness.
And my daughter-in-law,
Yay.
Carly, she's the daughter I've always wanted. So I
Oh,
got
that's
four
beautiful.
grandbabies, a beautiful son, a beautiful daughter, and oh, God is good. God is so good. So I
Well,
wanted to
can I interrupt
ask
you
me
for a
some
second?
questions.
Well, just because it was from a conversation that you and I had previously where you were talking about that your mornings are not good for you because you're in a lot of pain in the
Oh,
morning.
it never
And
leaves.
it never leaves. But what struck me, and I was even telling my mom the other day, was your attitude. Would you tell our audience what your attitude is about the pain that you endure every day?
It took me a long time to get to this place because I was a very depressed woman with the pain. I even got out of control with the medications because the pain never leaves. In fact, it gets worse. So I treat it as a business and I do gratitudes every morning. My son and I exchange. He's in Texas. They live in Texas. And my James Michael and I, we exchange gratitudes every day. And having gratitudes instead of looking at the negative and the oh, poor me, because you either can be a victim or a victor. You can either bring out the best or the worst. Life is all choices. I choose not to give in to the depression. I choose to rise above the pain. And it's hard. Let me tell you, it is so hard because it gets worse. As I'm getting older, my body is deteriorating faster and faster. If I told you how many surgeries I've had, I'm a bionic woman. I mean, three knee replacements, back surgeries. I had
Ugh.
two neck surgeries. I've had all my good stuff in my GI taken out. And it's just, what are you going to do? You're going to have a pity party? Because I'll tell you,
A
you
lot of
complain
people
about,
would. A lot
well,
of people
but
would.
you gotta get stronger than that because you're going to push people away. All I did, if I complain, and I have done it, oh, I'm in so much pain. Oh, it doesn't leave me. Oh God, how am I going to live? Who wants to hear that? You're going to push people away. So instead, I say, God, just fill me up with your spirit. And you don't have to be a holy roller. I'm not religious. I am a metaphysical Christian. And you rise above. And that's what I've had to do, is that I look at my son, I look at my daughter, and she's a daughter-in-law, but she's my daughter that I always wanted, Carly. I look at my 4 grandbabies and I say, I can be bigger than this. And let me tell you, it's not easy, but look at the mind. How powerful is the mind? What are we focusing on? Are we focusing on the pain? Or are we going to focus on something grander, take our minds off of it? And it's really about distraction. If I lay in bed in pain, well, I'm just going to think about popping pills and watching TV and let the world go by. No, I have to be active. I do a lot of volunteer work. I'm very active, and that helps me. And my son's my gratitudes are very powerful. They are the best antidote to depression. And you
Can you
take
give
it
me an
from,
example? Give me an example of what you would text your son like this morning. Just give me an example.
I'll give you, I just say, thank you for another day. Thank you for giving me my casita in Coronado. Thank you for being able to see light, to see colors, to feel, to wake up and I can see the beauty outside, that I can have comfort in my life, that we're not in those wars. I'm grateful for the love of my son, my daughter, my grandbabies, my sisters and brothers, my good stepmother, Marilyn. I love her to pieces. I look at every single little thing that we take for granted, and I'm grateful for that. I am grateful that my son is happy. I'm grateful that my son is so in love with Carly. They have the best marriage. I'm grateful that my grandbabies are happy, that they're safe. I'm grateful to be on this show with you, be a voice that I can share with people. Don't give up, have hope, because it's right there. You are love, and you are not going to give up. If you take your mind and you put it to use, beautiful things are going to come to you. Positive energy attracts positive people.
That's true.
So, what can I do that's positive today? I'm grateful that I have a garden outside, that I took dead plants that people were going to throw away, and I came and helped them get life, and those beautiful flowers are blooming. I didn't know what they were going to bloom. Little things we take for granted. And how
Yeah.
can I make this person's day better? Those people that are on the other side of the phone, that are, whether it be a doctor's office or, gosh, anyone that's calling you up, do you think that they don't have problems? Because it's so easy to take off and get angry at them. They're strangers. It's easy to get
You're
mad
true.
at them.
You're right.
Well,
That's
start
correct.
thinking, what are they going through? And just give them something nice for the day. The more we give, the more love we give, the more love comes back. And I'm telling you, it helps rise above that pain. I used to think I was cursed, but I'm blessed. See the power of our words?
Yes,
Our words are very powerful. What we think is what we become. It's
absolutely.
very powerful. I took a lot
I
of
grew up
Tony
on Norman
Robbins.
Vincent Peale. You remember
Oh, I
Norman
love
Vincent
him.
Peale? I grew up on him.
I love him. He is
Yeah.
the power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
That's all he's about. The words you put out. And this is what, in the 40s?
Yeah.
And even AA. Uh, AA is very powerful. I wish everybody could take AA. Their philosophy is so powerful. You don't have to drink to follow the philosophies of AA, which is about gratitude, which is about giving our lives. This is huge. Bring the higher power into our lives every day. God, higher power, whatever you want to call, there is a force that is a higher power. Bring them into your life every day, as I do. And this is one of my gratitudes, is when I say to the higher power, okay, I'm really stuck in this situation. How can I get out? Because we don't make the best choices. When our minds are convoluted and when they're full of negativity, we're not going to think clearly. And I'm telling you, there's a force out there, and you will hear the force. It speaks to us right there and say, Lord, I don't know what a high power is, but I need you. Please show me who you are, how you are. And it was, how I heard my dad. I hear him a lot. And this isn't the first time. I've got some stories to tell you. Our loved ones can hear us, the higher power.
I absolutely agree. I agree. And I had written down when you were talking about the rose and the fountain, um, and I had wondered how many fountains do you know are in Central Park?
One
There's only one fountain in Central Park,
that I know, and
and
it's in
so
a lot of movies.
you had never been to that area before.
Ever. No, no. I had been to New York City to visit with Simon and Schuster 2 times, and that was it. And this was my third visit. So no, I did not know New York at all. I did not know the rose. I mean, I'm sorry, the fountain. No, I had no
So
idea.
did you take the rose with you to Geraldo's show?
No, I didn't. I left it
You left
in
it in the hotel room?
in the hotel room. Yeah, because it was amazing. But this was my first big show with Geraldo,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was scared. I was really nervous. And then when Dad showed me the rose, I wasn't going to go on the show and say, "Here's the rose." It came out because I was warned not to tell that story. People would think I was too woo woo, and they may not get the right opinion of me. Now I'm 71. I'm 71 years old. That's really weird. That's really weird. I'm the nana of my family. Anyway, I just like uh
I believe in
I don't
that. And we had Christy Beam on our show, and I don't know if you got to see that Miracles from Heaven movie, but she has a very similar story. Someone close to me also felt like they went on the other side, but you kind of went past that in your storytelling. And I'd like to go back to,
okay.
you said you were there 3 days. Do you remember what
Oh yeah.
happened during those 3 days?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
can you tell us what you remember or want to share?
I was with Jesus and I was in his lap and he was holding me and everything was white. Everything was white, bright white. And he cradled me and he had
Did you
told
feel
me
pain? Were you in pain at
none,
that time?
none,
None.
no
Okay.
pain. I'm so nearsighted, it's just ridiculous, excuse me. And I could see clearly. In fact, when I had come back, I saw my father perfectly. But there was no pain. It was this beautiful warmth. It was it's hard to describe, but there was such an abundance of this love. It just fills you up. I can't explain it. You have to experience this. And you don't have to have a near-death experience to experience this love, this warmth. But he had talked to me and he let me know I was on the wrong road. I needed to get back and teach. Okay,
Okay,
so
so taking you back, you had this warmth all around you, and let's
it's
just take it from
euphoric.
there.
It was euphoric. It was euphoric. And he talked to me and he told me that I needed to get out there and be about his business. I didn't quite know what that meant. It wasn't like I was all of a sudden, you're healed. Hey, you're healed. It was a very mixed feeling. Um, it took me a while to pull it all together. And I did a lot of the studies. And I can say now I'm in my prime. I'm definitely in my prime to teach. I
Well, you know
have,
what? You've told me so many wonderful things that I hope everybody listens to this show, and um, I'm just thoroughly impressed with you, and it'll rebroadcast many times. I know. Um, so I'm still kind of curious. I'm going back to, so did you actually see Jesus, or was it just a feeling of love that
oh,
you
no, no, no,
felt?
no. I was in his lap
So
and
what
he
did he
was
look
in all
like?
white. He was in all white. Oh, gosh. See, I believe that God came down in human form as Jesus because look at how violent the human race is. It's really
It's
violent.
awful. Yes, it is.
And there are walking angels and we are spiritual beings. And I just say, they're saying the Antichrist. Oh, I think the Antichrist is here through the energy that we're putting out. The Antichrist is this horrid energy that kills, that hates, that's immoral, that's telling our children, you may be a boy, but you might be a girl if you think that way, a little 6-year-old. Come on. They don't know what they are. Leave them alone. We're just giving to these. That's the Antichrist, the messages, the energy. We got to get back to the moral compass. Just do unto others as you do unto yourself. I just love, guys. Start practicing love. People that go out and have affairs and people that corrupt and steal and lie and it's ugly. It's just ugly. And I've done that stuff. Let me tell you, I know both sides. I've been in the trenches. I have been on the wrong side. But it's through that I have learned to come out to love. And so getting back, God came down as Jesus in human form to get where we're at and to teach us where we need to go. And it's all there in Sermon on the Mount. Telling you, it's right there in
Yeah,
Sermon
the
on the
Sermon
Mount.
on the Mount is, I'll read that over and over and over. I love it. And if we all would follow Jesus's teachings in those brief 3 chapters, Matthew 6, 7, 8, I think.
It's powerful. It's
It
powerful.
is powerful.
And you should read the metaphysical, because Jesus spoke in parables.
Yes.
And that's what metaphysics is. It's in parables. It's not linear. It's the symbolism. Maybe sometime I can give you, when I do another show, I can give you an example of the Sermon on the Mount and the metaphysics of it. The metaphysical is where it's at. People, I'll have my critics, but I'm just telling you, Jesus was metaphysical. So getting back to what the feeling was, who he was, it was Jesus. He was in white robes. I was in his lap. He was cradling me. It was the most beautiful, euphoric feeling I've ever had. And it took me a while to accept it. I think I had a lot of dross inside of me and I had to clean it out. And let me tell you, I've gone through a lot of cleaning. A
A
lot of
lot of what
cleaning.
inside of you? I didn't catch that. A
Dross.
lot of
Dross,
dross?
negativity. Dross
Ah,
is junk.
okay.
You know, think of the alchemist when they're purifying a diamond or gold. They got to clean off all the junk. The junk is the dross. That's dross. And we all come into this lifetime with junk that we've got to come to peace with and make it better. I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe in it. And I've had people correct me and say, "Oh, well, that's just not God's word." I just said, "But it is true. It is true." And we go through several life cycles until we come to the purity. And that's what God's love is all about, is that he sees us through these cycles. He's there with us. All we have to do is just be willing, see what responsibility we take in our arguments, make amends. And even if the amends, like there's some pretty heavy stuff that's going on out there. And it's not saying, I forgive you for beating me. I forgive you for molesting me. I forgive you for stealing everything from me. I have a hard time with that. I really do. But what I learned is that that's how I'm not going to be. I can be better than that. And reconciliation is for it to pass through me without me getting angry. That's what forgiveness means to me. Now, there are many cases where I have instigated misunderstandings, and I got to take responsibility. What was my part in doing that? Because so many people get into the ego, and ego is easing God out. And when we learn that we're very much a part of the misunderstanding, that type of misunderstanding, and to talk it out rather than to get angry and want to get revenge. That's a big one. Wanting to get revenge, lying. Just when you're doing something wrong. And we got to really pay attention to our children, because I'm about raising a healthy generation and creating an alignment to heal our world. We've got to get to that. And it's in our day-to-day interaction with each other. Again, bring out the best, not the worst. Tell when you're
Now,
a victim, bring Victor.
I agree with that, and I remember when you said that earlier, be the victor, not the victim, and I totally agree with that. Um, and I think it's amazing when women or men have conquered awful things that have happened to them and become a victor, like the domestic violence woman Simone O'Brien that I interviewed from Australia. Um, Back when you were talking about um, reincarnation or that, your beliefs on that, and you said some people may not agree with you. What I believe is that no one really knows who's right. And whatever, I know the Muslim faith, they believe that when you go to heaven, God tells you who was right or wrong, but you still get to go. And I think that that belief of my way is the only way is very self-righteous and limiting. And I think we should embrace, everybody should embrace everybody's beliefs. If you don't have a belief, I have a problem with that, you know. But
Yep,
who's to say who's right or who's wrong? Because it's not
exactly.
written, you know?
Exactly.
So,
Because, Jesus visited the East. He was in India. They have scrolls with Jesus in it. You cannot get locked into my way is the only way. Let me tell you, my dad
absolutely.
was Jewish, and several people tried to get him to convert to Christianity. It really angered him. It really angered. He told me. In fact, he was shaking, and he said, is that what's going to be passed down? He was shaking about the insistence, giving your life to Jesus Christ. And I can see where they were coming from, but what you just said, we need to accept other people's
Yeah.
beliefs. We just not one section is going to get to heaven. And what is heaven?
No.
It's another dimension. It's another dimension. There's so many dimensions. And do we not think that the God is just the God of earth? How can we say that? Einstein said we're only using 10% of our
Yeah.
intelligence. And if you can imagine that other 90%, there is other life out there. We cannot even envision, think how great this God is. That's why I say it's
Yes.
matter. It's an energy force. I don't know. just I can tell you what I have gone through and what I believe. So Dad was Jewish, and we need to accept that he is in heaven. And what is heaven? It's another dimension. And who knows how many dimensions there are. But I do believe what we don't get in this life, we're going to have to come back in another life and deal with it. So get it right in this life. Do what you can to get it right.
Yes, I think that that's great advice. I remember one time that my husband and I went to go visit a graveside of his grandmother. And so we would call it the four grandmothers because my two grandmothers and his two grandmothers, and we would go there to honor them, even though it was the one grandmother's grave. And we held hands and we both silently said a prayer. And then I opened my eyes and I said, "Did you hear that?" And it was the absolute most beautiful singing voice I've ever heard in my life, in my life. And no one was around. There was no one. And that was beautiful, you
You
know?
see, you had an experience. Can you imagine everybody being open to having that experience? Because it's right there. It's right there at our fingertips. All we have to do is just be open to it and just higher power, help me out. I don't believe in you. I don't know how to believe in you. Help me out. And I tell you, it all begins with gratitudes. What are you grateful about?
I love
Not pissed
that. I
off
love
about.
that. You know,
It's
you mentioned it originally when you were talking about how you got into that accident. If you had just listened to your intuition, I believe intuition is a gift from God. I do. And it can
and
direct you if you pay attention to it.
and you know what intuition means? Into me see. Intuition.
Yeah.
Into me see. And it's trusting that. I'm so proud. My son is such a gift from God. My daughter-in-law, my daughters, such gifts, and these babies are such gifts. Why aren't we helping our children? Why are we so focused on making people wrong and more right? Why aren't we saying, what about the single mothers? What about who are struggling? Why are we so focused on helping these people that aren't, excuse me, citizens? Why aren't we putting money and our attention into helping our kids out? They're the future generation and they're so lost.
Yeah. And it's such a awful environment right now for them to be growing up. I mean, I did
It's horrible.
tornado drills when I was you know, young, and that was terrifying, but to have to do a drill on a shooter is
Yeah, a kid your
beyond the
age, a kid your age.
I know. It's awful.
How
It's
messed up
awful.
is that? We got to
Awful. Awful
stop the
messed up.
anger. We got to
Yeah.
stop this anger. We got to stop being judgmental and finding reasons to make people wrong. Now, this hail Satanist is like ridiculous. That is
Yeah.
that's antichrist stuff. I don't even want that stuff around me.
Mm.
And a Satanist who what to watch children being molested, to see women being misused, to cheat a homeless. There's just it's ugly. It's just
Yeah.
ugly.
So
So
what
and
okay, so let's switch gears because we want to
yeah,
talk about positive things. And so what do you propose? And I know you said that we need to love, we need to turn things around, but if we were to start changing the world and the environment, I had somebody tell me, oh, it was Sister Rosemary from Uganda. Um, and she said it's start with one person, just one person, and you can make a difference in that person's life because she saved a lot of children in Uganda from being abused and things. But what would be your advice on helping the world be a better place right now?
start on yourself. Start on yourself. Get yourself cleaned up. Become aware of the negative thoughts you're holding. Become aware of the hurt that you're putting out. Start being a better person yourself, because it does take a lot of work. And just recognizing the negative attitudes that we're holding, the negative beliefs, and turning those around is infectious to attracting the positive. I make it a point with the people I talk to who I used to lash out at um, on the phone, the service people. And I thought, why are you doing that? So catch yourself. Where are you reacting from? What is elements in you? So that's what I'm saying. Start in yourself and clean it out and get into the gratitudes and you watch what happens. Telling you it's miraculous. That's a miracle. That there is a miracle. And put the love out. You're going to just be blown away. And I'm
Well,
still
and
doing it.
can I tell you this, that Michael Landon would be so proud of you right now. And I know he is very proud. And when you said at the beginning of the show that you couldn't go out and do what he does, but you are. You just haven't accepted that, I guess, maybe. But it's beautiful message. Your message is beautiful, and your father would be very proud of you.
Well, thank you. And it's not just my father, but my son.
Awesome. I
I
love
I,
that.
I cannot tell you how big a gift he is. And love.
Well, I
These are
can
happy
imagine. I mean,
tears.
you were told you weren't even be able to have a baby, and then
I
all of a
know.
sudden you get a wonderful son that you love, and then now a family with little babies, and what a gift that is. And again, I'm going to say it. What a gift you are.
Oh, well, you're a gift as well because you
Well, thank.
invited me on. So thank you. And to
Well,
all of
and
you there, we're going to have some really good stories to share because a lot of people ask me, what was Michael Landon really like? And we're going to do a show on that. And I got some
yes, we
real
are.
funny stories, some great stories to tell you about that. So that'll be,
And how, because I mean, I grew up on Little House on the Prairie and Bonanza, and I loved Little Joe and Haas's interactions because those were the funnest shows whenever Michael Landon gave Haas a hard time.
oh,
And
they were best friends. They were best friends. They did jokes. They were hysterical. Yeah,
and see,
they were.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that. So that's going to be our next show. But today I just wanted to hear, I wanted to hear from you, and I wanted them to hear your inspiring story because it is inspiring, and you have a lot to say.
Well, I thank you. I wanted to say one thing as we end this show about resurrection. There's resurrection, and this is so incredible. It's a spiritual revival. It's a spiritual renew. It's not just the blood of Christ and he died for all of our sins. It's not just coming back from the dead. And yet we can look at it symbolically like coming back from the dead is our old selves and renewing ourselves. So resurrection is about revival of the old self into the new self. It's not just a happy new year, it's about revival of the old self into the new self. And it's gaining the restoration of a positive relationship with God. That's what I'm inviting everybody to try to get into a relationship with God, higher power. And how can you resurrect yourself? What gratitudes do you need to work on and focus on instead of the negative thoughts that we can have in our day? The morning is the most powerful and the evening. So that's my thanks to all of you. And I look forward to being on your show. I'm very honored that I get to share. And it's about my dad's last quote: love, it's the most powerful force in our universe. It's what lets us live on. Don't ever take it for granted.
Well, and that's why everybody loved him so much, and that's why everybody loves you so much. So thank you for those beautiful words, and I really do also look forward to us talking again. So thank you again, Cheryl Landon, for being on this show. And on behalf of Bootleggers, we just love you.
You have been listening to Darla Z, live from the Hollywood Room on the Bootleggers Music Group Radio. Be sure to check out all our shows and download our app at www.bootleggersmusicgroup.com. The Bootleggers Music Group is dedicated to bringing you uplifting, educational, and inspiring shows for the love of God, one tune, and one show at a time. Be sure to visit Darla Z at www.darlaz.com to learn more about your award-winning host. Thanks for listening to or watching the Bootleggers Music Group Radio. Executive producer, Paul E. Jones.